Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of the Waffle Press Movie Hangouts. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. I have a co-host with me today. His name's Gina Versa. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. We got kind of an exciting show today for a lot of reasons. Some reasons I won't be able to talk about just because I haven't seen any new movies in theaters since the last time we recorded. So, Gene, you're gonna have to fill us in on stuff like M. Night Shyamalan's Old, Snake Eyes, because it's the movie of the summer, apparently, from the critical reviews. That's not true at all. But the real exciting news today is that we have a very special guest today. His name is Carlos Alonso Morales. My friend, how are you?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. How are you guys?
We're excited to have you on, man. So you are a prolific Twitter writer, professional writer, master shit poster. No, you're a very talented person who's had a lot of writing out in the world. So let's just talk about you for a sec before we get into like the full episode. What's going on with you? How have you been doing since the pandemic started? And what kind of stuff do you want to tell the people about that you're working on?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's really nice to be here and hang out with buddies of mine on the at the Waffle Press. And so I recently obtained. Diego's hyping me up pretty strongly here, but the reason why is because I recently obtained a literary agent for my novels.
Congrats.
Yes, my it's pretty exciting times. We do not have a publisher just yet, but that's what we're looking for right now. And I'm doing revisions on my novel, which is a young adult sci-fi horror book called Eternal Eclipse. So hopefully sooner rather than later, you guys will be able to, you and everybody will be able to go out and get it. We're pretty excited about where it is right now, and the revisions are only making it better. And there may or may not be sequels planned. So if this all works out, we're pretty excited to get that out the door. I also do occasional writing for IGN.com. I do some analysis pieces and things like that for film and sometimes like the Marvel shows and things like that. So yeah, I don't know how prolific I am just yet, but we're on the way. We're on the way. We're getting there.
Definitely. Well, yeah, Carlos, it's always fun talking to you online about our shared kind of nerdiness on Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the best animated show, and fellow Doctor Doom enthusiast.
So absolutely, that's my profile picture on Twitter right now. It's Doctor Doom.
What artist is that? I'm just curious.
Oh my god. I don't think I actually know that off the top of my head. I know
fake nerds exposed.
We've been exposed. No, but I know it's for one of those. It was one of those like Marvel card games.
Oh, okay.
It's the art for Doctor Doom from one of the Marvel card games. I can look it up.
Yeah,
it's probably on the top of my head. I'm exposing myself right now.
It's probably that Iron Man artist, Eddie Grenoff. It's probably that.
It might be, but I don't know if it's because I've seen him draw Doom and it looks very different than the one
okay. Then you could be right.
I don't think it might. I'm not sure if that's who it is.
Yeah, but no, it's really cool to have you on air with us, my friend. Because it's just always nice to talk to you online, and it's I'm really excited to read your book and just kind of like I love science fiction, so and I love horror, so best of both worlds.
Exactly. So you're the perfect audience for this. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's funny that you guys mentioned like, we just love geeking out because we were geeking out for like half an hour before we even started recording, just like talking.
We should have recorded that.
Shit. I know that. There you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of passion in that convo.
Yeah,
I know. I'm like fucking this movie, fuck that one though. But this one, like a lot of that.
Yeah.
But speaking of movies, we should also talk about what else we've been watching. So Carlos, I know you've been tweeting a lot also about X-Files the last couple months too. Have you been watching anything else recently, or do we want to just hype up X-Files again? Because I know we're both huge fans.
I can hype up X-Files for a little bit. Okay,
sure.
So I'm coming at this from kind of a weird position because although I had seen some of it by osmosis, I had not actually watched most of X-Files before
Mhm.
2021. This is one of my pandemic watches. It was because Disney Plus has Star up here in Canada, where I
Okay.
am. So that means that Disney Plus is more like an actual streaming service up here and has things that you can find. Like, ooh, I didn't know that was on Disney Plus. And they added X Files on. It was February 23rd. I don't know why I remember the date specifically. And I was like, I'll start watching this from the beginning. Click. It was like an impulse thing. And then I watched the whole thing in 2 months.
Huh. Because that's like 100 episodes, right?
202
200.
episodes.
Oh my God. See, I haven't
9
watched
seasons.
Wow. That's the
and,
revival.
and one movie in the
Nope.
original run
Oh, okay.
across 9 years.
Yeah.
There was a second movie and then a revival. I watched the second movie, but not the revival, because I heard that the revival was the worst thing ever made. So I didn't feel like ending my marathon on that.
A bad note.
On that kind of a note. But I really enjoyed it. I'm a full-blown X-File, like PH. I've been posting lots of X-Files memes and jokes on Twitter since then.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been great. As for other things, I have not been watching a whole lot recently, like not in like the last little bit because I've been working on book stuff. But I've been playing a lot of video games. Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Already a handful of playthroughs on that, and Resident Evil 8, which I thought was fantastic. I'm turning into a full gamer now.
Do you have the new PlayStation PS5?
I do not. No, I do not have a PS5 just yet. Although they announced a Dead Space remake for PS5 and Xbox Series X, so they might have to force me to get one of those now.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, damn it, Dead Space is another one of my. I mean, I'm writing a space horror novel, so, and I've made it no secret that Dead Space is an influence on that book. So if you should know that I'm definitely getting that game whenever that comes out.
You and John Carpenter are just gonna be like playing the crap out of that.
yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, me and John. I remember, it was John Carpenter who said, I remember he said that he would come out of retirement if he was allowed to make a Dead Space movie. And I'm like, that's one of the best random interview bits ever.
Is he like retired or semi-retired? Who knows?
He's retired, but he's like, he always says like, you know, if he has like an idea that gets him fired up, like he'll do it. He's not like a flat out no guy.
Yeah.
But he's also like, just dude, I've been through it. He's never been like he's never been Stanley Kubrick when it comes to the job, you know? Like he's always like, people ask him about Halloween still, and he's like, I did it for a paycheck. Like that's basically his first response. Like, and then you get the passionate response when you keep like talking to him, but he's like, he's very clear that like, look, up front, I did a lot of these for money.
Yeah.
However, and then, you know, the process creates the passion, yada yada.
He's like, son, let me finish my joint and then I'll get back to you.
Yeah, he's smoking weed, playing Sonic the Hedgehog and Fallout. That's what he's doing.
He has
right
like
now.
a personal theater. But yeah,
he's a god. I worship John Carpenter.
Yeah, I love Carpenter.
But yeah, so no TV shows, no movies. I think that's okay actually, because I think Gene and I will have you covered.
Little bit of a break on TV and movies, but I'm going to be getting back into that soon. After I get my revisions done, I need to catch up on some things that I've missed. But I did go see Old yesterday.
Oh, good.
So I'll be able to talk about that when we get to that.
Yeah,
yes,
I also saw it. So
I'm very excited to hear all of that. We'll be talking about our M. Night Shyamalan faves as well, because I think we go to bat for him here more than most of like the general public at this point.
I am absolutely an M. Night head. We are this is an M. Night is good zone.
Yes. Hell yeah. And I think Film Twitter's kind of turned around on that too. Like he's been kind of good. I think they champion underdogs sometimes. I think that's what it is. And now he is kind of an underdog at this point again, which is unfortunate because he fucking did Sixth Sense and Unbreakable back to back. Like, whatever, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Gene, what else have you been watching? And then we can start heading towards that direction.
Just in terms of like things that I'm like binging, I've been watching a lot of an anime series called Robotech. I'm not sure if I've talked about that on the podcast, but someone gave me a big ass box of Robotech, which is an anime series. It was by Harmony Gold, which is a terrible dubbing company that brought it to the States. And it's kind of like this, it's kind of like the Gundam before Gundam, when it came over to the stateside. And it was on Amazon, but Amazon took it off, which really pissed me off because that's how I was watching it during the pandemic.
Oh, fuck you, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, he sucks. But yeah, that anime show I think is really ahead of its time because this was airing probably like on some kids network, like I don't know, like UPN or something in the 90s, and it has like all this like romance, and it has like such a, like, it's talking about the aftermath of war and what war does to people, and you know, it's just about a pilot. His name's Rick Hunter, and he gets like it's like this battle sort of robot. These robots that turn it like kind of like Transformers. They turn into planes or jets, and then they turn into like a robo, like a Gundam sort of thing. And their part of Earth gets sent into space, like the city, and they're trying to defend their city from like these aliens called the Zentradi. And it's yeah, it's really interesting, and it examines war, and it's an anime kid show, and I love it. So that's me going to bat for Robotech. So I do recommend anyone to watch that.
All right, I'll as you know, anime is evil, but I will check it out eventually.
Yeah.
So I have not been watching any anime. I apologize. Cowboy Bebop though, my still my number one.
Yeah.
I have been watching a couple things. The Underground Railroad, Barry Jenkins adaptation of that book. I finished it, and it's just the fucking best. It's so good. I'm someone who loves TV but does not think it's I think movies are just on like a different plane of existence. I think Underground Railroad is like the best argument for TV as like a truly like cinematic equal to movies. Like it's the best argument I've seen for that like ever, maybe. It's so good. I don't know what else to say. Just don't binge it. Watch like an episode a day because it's kind of heavy, and I think it's the kind of thing that if it had dropped weekly, it actually would have picked up more steam. I'm not someone who prefers like weekly or the all night kind of thing. I think every show is different.
Yeah.
This one I think definitely would have gained more traction if it had been weekly though. And it's a little unfortunate that it kind of got brushed under the rug.
That's I was gonna say some shows actually really benefit from that weekly things. I know they're like such two extremes, but I was gonna say like the Bad Batch, you know, for like this episodic sort of like serial, you know, like Flash Gordon, like Star Wars is, that really benefits like each week having that. So I wish that Amazon has like, if you look at The Boys, they've like dropped things weekly. So I don't know like what their terms of policy or whatever is, but like they should really change it up to highlight other creators.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but the show is gonna live forever, and it needs to get a Blu-ray release because there's some images in this that like streaming the compression, like I need to see like in their full glory. Like it's so fucking good. I'm excited for whatever Barry Jenkins does next. I feel like we're living like at
Lion King 2.
Oh, that's right.
So you're excited for Lion King 2? All right.
I can't believe it. Diego is a Lion King 2 stan.
Now I fucking am. I don't need to watch the first one because it's a prequel or something.
Yeah, you don't.
Right?
You don't.
So
I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh,
I watched that first one. It's rough. I love Favreau too, but it's rough, dude.
Oh, whatever. But the point
never
being,
saw it.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay, Carlos.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
The point being, I think Barry Jenkins is like, he's going to be someone we look back on like in cinematic history and like, whoa, you guys were alive when he made those movies and that stuff. And we'll be like, fuck yeah, we were. It was awful, but his stuff was really good, you know?
Yeah, like Moonlight, or even like Medicine for Melancholy is really good.
I haven't seen it yet.
It was on Netflix for a bit, so yeah, it's really, he's a like always up, you know, for Moonlight and like every other film he's done. It's, you know,
Beale
really
Street.
Beale
I
Street,
think it's just that and Beale Street, but those are so good. He's like,
that's a shame. Beale Street,
he's going down like in history for sure.
I think so.
Yeah,
I saw Beale Street in theaters.
Fuck yeah.
All you guys, not you two. I mean, like, all the people who didn't like because Moonlight did really well,
Yes.
and then Beale Street came out, and as far as I know, it did not do well in the box office anyway. And I'm like, what's wrong with
find an
people?
audience?
I think that is a marketing problem, because that was
it is.
Annapurna Pictures, and they seem to be where movies go to die, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
not to be harsh, but they have not had a hit on their hands in a long time, and that's too bad, because they do distribute like really good movies. It's just they're not getting it. And something else I started watching, Ted Lasso, which I'm sure people are sick of hearing about online, about how it's like really sweet and positive and stuff like that. And I know there's like people that kind of turn on Paddington because a lot of adults are like, oh, it's so sweet and wholesome. And it's like, yeah, it's for kids. That's why it's going to be sweet and wholesome. Ted Lasso is very strictly for like, I guess, more mature audiences. Like there's a lot more like cursing, which caught me off guard. I thought it was like a G-rated show. It's not. But it's a very accessible show, I think, about positive reinforcement. And I think why I'm so drawn to it, because a lot of TV, just I've been trying to start watching more, and just a lot of it's not doing it for me. But this and Underground Railroad really struck with me. And I think what makes Ted Lasso work so well is that it's, even though it's about positive reinforcement, it doesn't like shy away from the fact that like, no, the world's going to tell you no a lot, and you're going to lose like a lot. Like it's a show about basically learning to live with like failure.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed by it. I did not expect to like it as much as I do. And Jason Sudeikis, I think I think he's kind of been slept on as an actor.
Yeah.
He what he's doing in the show is really, really impressive. And it's a delight. It's a pure delight.
That feels like a very personal role, because I just remember his acceptance speech for what I forgot, like the Emmys or the award. He just looks so like tired and like kind of like, oh, he's been through a lot. And it's like, oh, that poor guy, got it.
And when you watch the show, you'll realize how personal that gets, is what I'll say. Wow.
I haven't seen it yet.
I know, but like, does art imitate life, or does life imitate art? I don't know. And we were talking a little bit about Fantastic Four before we recorded, because we're all huge Fantastic Four nerds too.
Yes.
And there's a lot of great potential people who are tossing in their hats for Mr. Fantastic, like Ahmed Best. I would like to see that, right? Just his full capabilities as an actor. That's an exciting one. Jason Sudeikis, Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think he could do it.
Yeah, you would like that better than John Krasinski.
John Krasinski has his weird genre stuff going on.
Yeah,
I'm glad he's there.
Carlos,
I don't need him.
Yay or nay is the overly seen fan cast of John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
Nay.
I am going to be diplomatic and say no.
Okay. Yeah.
This is not an insult to John Krasinski at all. I just personally do not believe. I think there are better choices for that role.
I would like
you know who I've been pulling for, that someone who I think I'm the only person, I think I'm the first person to, because this is a few years ago when I first mentioned the scene old, Gael, I think would make a fantastic Mr. Fantastic.
Ooh.
I would love to see a Latino Reed. I think that'd be really fun.
He would be good. I think you brought that out to me before, that he'd be great. Yeah, that's a good choice.
That's my, if for whatever reason I was making the Fantastic Four movie, that is who I would put as my number one choice for this for Reed Richards.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Right. And I guess that's all we're watching. Everything else is a lie. So yeah, no, I saw The Empty Man as well, and that was really
I saw
great.
that too. Yeah, I saw that you recommended.
It's on HBO Max now. I don't want to spend too much time on it, mostly just because I want people to go into it blind, and because we should move on to other topics now. But
HBO Max doesn't exist in Canada, so I don't know what Warner Brothers.
Fuck! It's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Damn it, I forgot. What kind of rollout? We don't have time to get into that. Never mind.
Nonsense.
Track down The Empty Man if you like stuff like A Cure for Wellness, Silent Hill, and anything else that we'll be giving it away.
Wow,
so.
that's all you had to say. Silent Hill, Cure for Wellness. I'm sold. I don't even know anything about it, and I'm sold. Those are the comparisons.
And ultimately, the film is about just how empty could a man get?
It's
It's really good.
Yeah.
Fuck everyone who buried that movie. It's so good. But
So
moving
fuck
on.
Fox. Yeah.
Well,
Disney. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to
Yeah.
say it, but yeah.
Well, they were they. Yeah. They both
Yeah,
did it.
we gotta be careful there. But moving on. Toys, did they make us or did we make them? That's the question that
Netflix
this
show.
podcast posits today as we talk about G.I. Joes, Snake Eyes. Are there any good movies based on toys?
I got one.
Yeah,
Small Soldiers.
but I mean, they're not.
Oh, like an
based on-
existing toy?
Yeah, like an existing toy IP, I guess.
Okay.
The Lego
Which is an
movie.
awful
The Lego
statement that
movie.
I never want to repeat ever again.
Yeah,
the Lego movie was good.
The Lego movie is a perfect film. That is my honest to God belief.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think there are some out there. It's just a little few and far between because I feel like, also with movies, like some of these like movies that we like are used to like make toys,
Like
Like-
RoboCop
like
had
RoboCop.
toys,
Yeah,
which
like,
is insane given that film's like thesis statement.
mhm.
Aliens, which again, weird movie to get toys from.
Mhm.
But to talk about like GI Joes and stuff, because this is really about Snake Eyes. I haven't had the chance to see it yet, unfortunately, or old, so I'll be kind of relegated to the back burner and let you two discuss that film mostly.
Sure.
But we're really talking about the toy stuff because Snake Eyes came out, and Gene, I know you're a huge GI Joe fan.
Yeah,
I don't care, but go ahead.
No, yeah, growing up, I think probably my dad or some relatives gave me some GI Joes, and I think I don't know, I didn't have too many toys, but I did have like Snake Eyes and some other things. But I remember the animated shows and like some of the Marvel comics, and they reminded me of the X-Men in like I don't know, because they were published under Marvel. If Marvel was just like reverse engineering all their X-Men stuff, because it's like there's like all these love triangles like between Duke and Scarlet and Snake Eyes, and like Snake Eyes is like Wolverine, where it's like he has a tragic backstory, and then he's also mute, so like he can't express his like feelings and stuff, and like Scarlet's torn between like kind of like Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Wolverine. And I always thought like G.I. Joe, like, I mean, probably, besides being like, it's a very military comic, like all the romance and intrigue was really like an interesting part of that franchise. And it's like such a weird soap opera that I got into. I haven't like revisited some of the older comics, but I just remember like when they crossed over with like the Transformers and in one in one mini series. And yeah, I think like G.I. Joe was a little underrated, and they probably had like the worst live action debut movie ever. But yeah, like I think I was a big G.I. Joe fan growing up. So and I love Snake Eyes.
Steven Summers Erasure, how dare you? He brought us The Mummy.
Oh, okay.
The Mummy Returns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, you did G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra.
Yeah,
I forgot.
I don't hate that movie, honestly.
So you're a Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Cobra Commander stan?
No, but I also like again, I'm someone that has
forgot.
like no respect for the G.I. Joe's property. Like it completely missed me. So I have zero attachment. I have less than zero attachment.
I don't remember much about Rise of Cobra. I did see it at the theaters and then never again, so I assume it was not good. The one thing that I do remember though is that instead of the Baroness being evil, is that she was mind controlled.
She was mind
I thought
controlled.
that was really dumb. Because I'm
That was
like,
so-
well, it's like, why? She was actually a good guy. Surprise.
Yeah.
Really quick. Also, Deep Rising. I saw Steven Summers' Deep Rising for the first time last year, and that's a really fun monster movie. There you go.
I'll check that out, I guess.
Yeah.
I checked that over rewatching G.I. Joe, but yeah, I just remember just that Rise of Cobra movie where it's just like, I don't know, like I didn't know what it wanted to be because they're in all these like mech suits that give them like special abilities. There's like all this weird weird aspects of it where it's just like, I get that it's probably made to sell toys, but it's like, all right, this is a little too obvious. There was some good casting, like I think like Channing Tatum was a good lead. Ray Park was a good Snake Eyes, even though, you know, he's such a physical role. The Scarlet that they had was good, but it was just like I was like, what is this? What is this movie? And I'll never revisit it. I've never seen the one with The Rock, but like
It's worse.
the fact that they had to
Sorry.
like for the second movie, it wasn't even a sequel, it was like a soft reboot, kind of says a lot about the first movie,
No,
you
yeah.
know?
Well, the first one didn't do that good, and then Retribution, I think it was called, the sequel, came after Fast Five.
Retaliation.
Which one?
It's called Retaliation.
Yeah.
Retaliation. When you hit the sequels that start with R for some reason,
Mhm.
franchises tend to be in trouble. You know.
Yeah.
I
A lot
also
of
don't remember much
I bet the
about-
next one's going to be Resurrection. That's my take, and we all know how that goes with certain franchises.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
was gonna say.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, if I could just say quick, I don't remember much about Retaliation either, but I do remember that the ends that the bad guys' plan was that they tricked everybody into firing their nukes and then disabling their nukes while they were in the air. And then Cobra's like, look, we just disarmed the entire world. I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny. I remember that part. And also like Cobra owning the White House with the Cobra flags.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Oh,
That-
man.
I don't
That's
remember
a
anything else
fun-
about the movie though.
Well, that's
It
like
was
a fun image, you know. That's always
Yeah.
like they took over and now everyone's like, yeah, we hate the White House, so
Yeah,
we'd
that's
probably be on their side.
foreshadowing. It was a foreshadowing of what would happen in the actual world.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. G.I. Joe Retaliation prophetic film.
Yeah, maybe. Predicted.
John M. Chu Auteurism,
Yeah,
because
man.
he directed that one.
Yeah.
It's got some fun action. I'll say that there's a sequence on a mountainside that's actually.
Oh yeah, that was
really
good
cool.
with Snake
Yeah,
Eyes.
the ninjas have like the zip lines and they're like slicing at each other as they swing past
Yeah.
each other. Yeah.
He's a good action director. He just needs to like work on his editing,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But I don't want to get into that either. And I bet that sequence being like a unanimous hit with like critics and fans is why they were like, Snake Eyes, that's the one. We'll bring him back with that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I guess
Uh.
people don't actually care for it very much. So
Yeah. Should I talk about that? Because I think
yeah,
I'm
you're the
only
one that
that's-
saw it. So go ahead, but by all means.
Yeah, Snake Eyes is a movie where a bunch of executives, and I think it's like Lorenzo Di Vomiteri, they 15 years ago or however many years, they learned all the wrong lessons from Iron Man. They're like, let's create, and these are many executives that have learned the wrong lessons from Iron Man and the MCU, where it's like they keep trying, they do the same mistakes over and over again, where they don't think or maybe even care about making a good movie. They just care about building the franchise. And it's like, for all Marvel's fault or what have you, that's critiquing Marvel, which, you know, could be legitimate, you know, could disagree with, whatever. Iron Man was a good movie. Like, they focused on the forefront of making that, like, whatever they could to make that movie a hit. Like, you know, they were writing it on the go. The script was constantly being revised, but they put enough care in making that a solid movie where, you know, in the app and that movie, I know it was such a big thing, but the after credit sequence of Nick Fury, that's almost like an afterthought, because I believe Marvel has released different versions of that scene where it's like he's talking about like mutants and Spider-Man or whatever. Like, that was like, they kind of did that like just as this like in reshoots or something. It wasn't that was their big motivation for making the movie. You know, maybe it was, but like, you know, the fact that they didn't put that much of an emphasis during production, you know, on that Nick Fury scene says like a lot. So it's just like Snake Eyes is just so focused on just building that universe. And it's just like, you know, you forgot to make a good movie, I would say, because there's just so much stuff that could be interesting, or like there's good action sequences, which Diego, you're telling me about the second unit director. He did a good job. Like, there were some really cool like martial arts battles, or like, you know, they're in Tokyo and like they're fighting in like all these neon lights, and I'm like, oh, this looks so cool. But it's like I had to sit through an hour to get here of like nothing happening. And I feel like Snake Eyes also the big sort of sin in this movie. Like I know Snake Eyes' origin, and he does have one, but I don't want to spend too much time there because it's like he's more of a character like Wolverine, where you don't need to know his backstory. Like he's like, oh, he's a mute ninja, and it's like he's cool, and it's like, well, we have to figure out how, like, what made him so cool, and it's like it's not the point. So yeah, he's kind of like a Wolverine character where he works like less is more with Snake Eyes, and yeah, and Henry Golden is actually like a good lead. Like he's like pretty likable in the movie. It's just like all the material he has to work with is just really disappointing. So yeah, I don't know. I love that character, but I wouldn't recommend this movie like at all. Like it's just boring the heck out of me. Like until like an hour in when it started getting more into like, stuff with the Asagi clan and like Storm Shadow, and like that's interesting, but it takes so long to get there, and it's just it lost a lot of goodwill. So
that's really a bummer to hear, because I became interested in this film because of a Twitter mutual named Stefano, who's just a great follow in general. I'll put a link down below to their Twitter account, because they recommend a lot of like world action cinema specifically, so it's more than just the slop we get fed over here.
Yeah.
Apparently action movies seem to be in kind of a rut over here.
Right.
So The Matrix will save us all, is what I'm saying. But I brought up the second unit director. His name is Kenji Tanigaki, and this is where I became interested in the film. So this person directed or also choreographed the action in the Rurouni Kenshin live action adaptations in Japan, which are wrapping up with like a 2-part kind of film. That's hitting America this year. I believe one of them's already on Netflix. And I made my way through the trilogy this week before recording. I have nice. No preconceived notions of the Rurouni Kenshin saga, as it were, when it was an anime. But these films, I expected to get like really great action because I'd heard a lot about them, and I did. And even better, I got a really great series of films about really lovable characters. Surprisingly, I wouldn't say pacifist message because they are action films, but empathetic messages.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about it going in as well, and it's a story about an assassin who decides never to kill again, and it's really great. The action's fantastic. Kenji Tanigaki got hired to do the second unit on Snake Eyes as well, and then that's when I was like, okay, so I got to watch all of this stuff then. And so it's a bummer to hear that it didn't work out for Snake Eyes, but go check out those films, I guess, instead of Snake Eyes.
How can someone watch it?
I got a Funimation trial.
Okay.
So even though anime is my enemy, I got a Funimation trial for this week, and then I just watched all 3 like in succession over the last couple days. I recommend it. Go check it out, and I believe they have the anime on there too. Okay. Which I might actually have to check out now because I really like these films. So they got me.
Thank God for Funimation.
Yeah, anime, you win this one.
Yeah, even though I guess they're not bringing my Evangelion movie to theaters.
I'm sorry.
Just doing it fucking on Amazon.
I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot, Funimation. Yeah. But anyway.
Bezos,
yeah. Like, he should have stayed in outer space.
Yeah,
his penis spacecraft, which so weird. Like no one, I don't know how like that design had to go through a lot of people, like that no one caught that, or like he pushed that through. He's like, yeah, like I wanted to.
No, he's just incredibly divorced. He got Botox. He rode a dick into space. Like he's just very divorced.
Just divorced.
And still Elon Musk is more unlikable.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah. I actually, Gene, can I ask you a question about Snake Eyes?
Yes.
So I noticed that like when they announced, Snake Eyes, I'm like, okay, I don't want to watch Wolverine Origins Snake Eyes. But then they later said that they were incorporating some, like I figured Storm Shadow has to be in a Snake Eyes movie. But then they also had Scarlet and the Baroness.
Yes.
And I'm like, wait a minute. So that's like 4 G.I. Joe characters. Why is this not just a G.I. Joe movie at this point? Do you think this would have worked better if they had just said screw the solo things and just made it a G.I. Joe movie?
Probably, because like it's really fighting like like there's so much going on. Like Scarlett's introduced like halfway through the movie. She doesn't make like she doesn't do anything because she's around, and then she actually gets into the plot like until the third act. The Baroness is kind of around, and she doesn't get into a third act, and it's like you know, they don't feel like real characters. So yeah, probably if they just did a GI Joe or whatever, because it's just like as a Snake Eyes origin movie, it's just it's a lot to be desired. And then I was gonna say also this movie, it's like I don't know like what it was trying to be, because I forgot to add there are like giant snakes in this movie. Like there's a giant snake he needs to, because he takes like 3 tests. One of them is to, if his soul is pure, he has to survive with giant snakes, which could that are in like a cave, and like they could sense your like unpureness. And I'm like, what? And then like, is this like a kids movie? Because it's like the Baroness says like fuck this, and she like bails in her last scene. And it's like they're like violently killing people, but then it's like this like campiness, and I'm like, what is this movie? So if they went all in with a camp instead of like this weird mix of seriousness, so if they went all in with camp as like a GI Joe movie, I think would have been a better take than like this really serious but then not serious, you know.
That's too bad.
Yeah, that's my long-winded answer to that. So
that's okay. I was curious. So what you're saying is that the best GI Joe movie is still the 3-minute intro to the animated film where Cobra attacks the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, probably. I was gonna say I think that that GI Joe the movie from the 80s is actually pretty well done. It's like that Transformers the movie in the 80s. Yeah. Yeah.
How are these 80s animated movies designed for a toy line better than all the live action attempts at the same franchise decades later?
Well,
I think maybe the answer, because I think superhero movies will get here eventually again too, is that maybe they're just better as animated shows, you know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I watched She-Ra, and I've been very vocal about how much I really love that show. I hear the Masters of the Universe show is pretty wild.
Yeah, I've been hearing good things.
I want to check that out. I like Kevin Smith as like a producer person, so I'm interested to see his take on that.
Right.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I know the shows have like massive amounts of fans, and I actually like a couple of those films too. I got a soft spot for some of the Bayformers, and I think we all like Bumblebee here.
Yeah, I love Bumblebee.
Thumbs up.
Bumblebee was the shit.
We'll move on. It's fine.
Okay.
But I really like the first Bay Transformers. I think that's actually like a pretty accessible like family summer movie. Then I like the 5th one because Michael Bay is just like, you guys don't want my other movies? Well, here's everything I've ever wanted in a Transformers movie, and it's just like, holy fuck, dude, you got to work stuff out. Like, go see a therapist.
Is that the production where someone threw a TV at him?
That was 4, and they threw an air conditioner at him when they were filming in China. So
somebody lifted a whole air conditioner.
Well, no, they were like, so they were.
No, they did. They did that.
Yeah, like they were filming in like some city, and then like someone that was living in a building above where they were filming just got really tired, and they threw out an air conditioner and almost hit him.
Yeah, say what you will about Michael Bay. Maybe don't murder someone. Maybe don't try to do attempted murder, because murder is bad.
Bad. For sure.
Weird that needs to be said.
But I was gonna say though, like for the animated movies that were better than the live action, you know, one of them has Orson Welles as a giant planet, so you can't beat that.
His last role.
Did you? Yeah, he's like, you know, I played a giant toy that eats other toys. That was his quote about Transformers.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what's going on.
It gives me an excuse to bring out the books. I forgot to recommend these when I was doing my stuff. The Making of the Other Side of the Wind, my favorite movie of the last decade.
That's perfect. That's like I was like, oh, I love that photo of him. Oh
yeah, he's just fucking for the YouTube people. Look
I feel like that's you and Matt recording.
Kinda, yeah.
They look like the critic guys from the Muppets.
Oh God, Stutter and Wardorf.
Yeah.
It's a great read, by the way. I recommend. I'm not finished with it yet, but I really recommend it. But now we can move on to subjects that I think we're all going to be very happy about. M. Night Shyamalan has a new film called Old that was just out this last weekend. It's a new Shyamalan film, so it is divisive, but I think there are some willful misreads of his work,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I would also say that some of the criticisms are worth listening to, specifically in his relation to writing characters with, let's just say, mental disabilities or handicaps. I think sometimes he does kind of lean on certain cinematic tropes that are maybe not great as much as I love them. But I also think he's one of the best directors working today. And if you want to study like genuine like cinematic framing and blocking, I don't know if there's anyone in Hollywood alone like doing a better job of it. But you two saw Old, so please, what did you think of it?
I'll let Carlos go first because I feel like I was chewing everyone's ear off about Snake Eyes.
Okay, so so I'm on record as definitely a Shyamalan supporter. I've enjoyed quite a few of his movies. I agree with Diego what he was saying about, you know, just like regardless of how you feel about his films, I think his directorial talents behind the camera as a craftsman, I don't think there's a lot of arguing to be had regarding his talent in that respect. But I also just really connect with a lot of his movies, and I really liked Old. I thought that it was a really fun time at the movies. It was the first movie I got to see in the theaters.
Oh, that's awesome.
Since February of last year.
Wow.
Which was my last movie that I saw was my second viewing of The Invisible Man. Because I'd seen it once before, but my sister wanted to see it, so I went with her the second time.
Yeah.
And then like a week later, we went into lockdown.
Oh, jeez.
It was like literally like a tail end of February that we went to see that.
Yeah.
And then, like, it was like the first week of March we went into lockdown. So I have not been to the theaters since then. And if you know anything about me, I'm at the movie theaters like in normal conditions, I'm at the movie theaters like at least twice a week. Like I go all the time. I would go all the time. And so this was a big, but now I'm double vaxxed. Feeling pretty good. Go get your vaccines if you haven't.
Yes.
And so I felt comfortable enough to go, and I'm really happy that the new M. Night movie was my big return to the theater. Not just because I had a great experience, but because it's a reminder that he is one of the people bringing, you know, original films, really well directed original films, to the theatrical marketplace, and there's just not enough of that. As for Old specifically, I think that with Shyamalan in particular, he's always walked this balancing act between his sentimental spirituality on one side and his lean, mean, grisly horror thriller that like vibes. Like those are the two. It's his movies are always somewhere between those two. And I would say that Old, I feel like the best comparison point to his own films would probably be Split, in that it's very much on this side of that balancing act. There is some of the sentimentality to it, but it's very muted in a lot of the film, and it's leaning more towards the horror side a lot, which is not a bad thing. He's got some really scary stuff going on in this film, like. But what's great about it is that so much of it is not directly shown, but not directly framed. A lot of it's kind of like in the corner of the frame, or kind of out of focus, or you only see glimpses of what some of the body horror stuff that's going on, right? And it makes it so much more impactful. And like you feel like he's really fighting that PG-13 rating in this movie, like really hard. Like I don't know how he got some of this stuff through.
Yeah. I was gonna say that tumor, when they're removing the tumor, like that made me look away. I was like, gross. Yeah.
There is some actual like look away stuff in the film. I don't want to get into too many specifics. Spoilers sake, but yeah, that is the tumor thing was definitely like oh my god. Ugh.
Yeah. That made me nervous just watching.
Yeah. And it was just like phenomenal cinematography. Really strong, just sort of like what Diego was saying, like blocking and editing. Just he's really good. He just really knows how to make a movie like this. How people will feel about how it plays out, I think, is probably one of the more divisive elements. I didn't mind it. I like I said, I liked the movie for the most part. I think it's something I definitely I want to watch again and chew on how it develops in the final act. But I will say that on first watch, I had a great time. I thought it was really, really well done. I would definitely recommend you go see it. And yeah, another win, another dub for Shyamalan, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Before I let Gene go on too, I want to say that sometimes with Shyamalan stuff, repeat viewings do help, because like with Glass,
yes,
when we first saw that, I was like, I don't know if I like where this is going. And then like every 15 minutes, I would go through this rotation of like feelings. I'd be like, oh, that's okay. I'm cool with this. I don't know if I like where this is going. I'm very unsure. Oh, okay. That I can get on board with that. Okay, I like that. Oh, and then I kept doing that, and I was like, I think I liked it, but I went through so many emotions. I had to watch it again, and then I was like, no. Now I know where this is all going.
Yeah,
I like it. So
I would agree with you on that, because Glass ended up being at least one of my favorite Shyamalan films, and as a big comic book fan, that first viewing, I wouldn't say like I got like a negative sort of reaction, but there was some stuff I was unsure of, like the reveal of the Secret Society. That works so much better for me in the second viewing, and that like I digested that a lot better. And I think David Dunn's death, I was really kind of like not okay with that the first viewing. And the second viewing, I really enjoyed that, just like the fact that like this extraordinary person dies like so ordinary, like he dies from drowning, but then he dies from his weakness. So it's like, how else could he have died? And he dies like kind of like no one knows who he is, what he did, and it's like, oh, I think that was perfect for that sort of tale. So yeah, some of his movies, obviously like The Sixth Sense or Signs, do benefit from that second viewing. So I do want to check out Old a second time for sure. So yeah, going to the back.
But you thumbs up?
Yeah, so Old, I think I'd agree with Carlos. It's like split. It's more of like the horror sort of side to him. And I thought it was a really good thriller. I saw it with a crowd. I went to I have to hype them up, a free screening of it from Beyond Fest. They did a really fun screening at the Aereo Theater, and seeing it with the crowd and like reacting with it, like some of those like nail biter scenes, and some of like there are some really like visual like things that kind of like freak you out in the movie, and like reacting with that with people, that felt really fun. I feel like this is almost, because I was reading some reviews where people are comparing it to like his like a French film almost, like in the sense that like what he's trying to say is like really abstract, and he uses like the most like surreal, like he uses an island that like ages people, like that's really surreal. That's like something out of like, I don't know, why am I forgetting the name of that movie where they play chess with death?
The Seventh Seal?
The Seventh Seal, yeah. It's like almost like out of the Seventh Seal, where this is like a major Hollywood movie that they're being like really surreal and abstract about in like some of the messages. Because I think there is like some sentimentality to the movie. Again, you haven't seen it, Diego, so I don't want to spoil it, but like the ending, he has a lot to say with that ending, and like what he does with some of the characters, and what he's trying to say about like life, and like not taking things for granted, and kind of like living in the moment. I'm like, this was a deep film from Shyamalan, and it was a good horror film as well. So I'd heavily recommend it, and like I think this is one of his better films.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I'm still going to check out Snake Eyes on discount day.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to watch Snake Eyes first, and then Old, and I will report back when I do.
Okay.
But I'm really looking forward to it. And Old, the premise is like terrifying, because you don't get age back, and I don't know. I don't think there's a way they get it back in the film. Don't tell me yes or no. This is for non-viewing stuff, but like it the premise scares the shit out of me. That's a very scary trailer, and I got very excited when I saw M. Night put his angry horror film hat back on.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of her favorites of Shyamalan's filmography, but I also want to ask the question to the panel here: were his bad films like really that bad? Like, do we really think they were that bad? I'm talking like,
yeah,
'cause I think people also have like different ideas of where his like streak started,
right.
you know, and ended, I guess we'll say. And some people still don't think it's ended, but
Right.
this episode's not for them. Sorry.
Okay.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah, no, this is a Shyamalan is good zone.
Yeah. You get out of here. Get. But okay. His bad stuff. Carlos, do you think he's got many misfires, and were they that bad?
As far as I'm concerned, he's got. I think that I disagree with the general consensus about where the. I don't want to say bad because I like and respect him as a filmmaker and artist too much to say like, oh yeah, this one sucked. But I'm gonna say like I disagree with where the alleged downturn happened. I am on record as like the world's biggest The Village supporter. I've never shut up about it. And so a lot of people seem to think that like from what I understand, it seems like a lot of the general consensus is that Sixth Sense was amazing, Unbreakable was at the very least very good, and Signs is still in the good camp, and then The Village seems to be the one where a lot of people are like, okay, this is the start of him falling apart. As far as I'm concerned, The Village is my favorite movie that he's done. So I would disagree with that being the downturn. The next one up is Lady in the Water, which, oh boy, that is a film. Lady's a weird one because I think that there is more to it than it just being a misfire. But what I think works about it is very much buried deep within the film, and it's kind of really hard to get through to it. I will say that the ending of that movie impacted me more than I thought it would, given that the rest of the film when I watched it, didn't really work for me. So I was kind of surprised that like I had an emotional reaction to it. So Paul Giamatti's like, thank you, when he says thank you for saving me, and I'm like, why am I having feelings right now? Why am I having feelings right now? But I think that's even if the movie itself is not fully working, I think that's Shyamalan's sincerity breaking through.
Yeah.
Right. And that's maybe his greatest strength as a director, beyond just being a really strong nuts and bolts craftsman, is that he's sincere. And that's kind of a hard thing to be in American film quite often. The Happening, I think that The Happening is a really good idea for a movie that's sunk by two leads that don't jive with the work.
Yeah.
I would say that
no.
So like you're trying to was it that out of context scene is so funny.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's funny in the movie too. But sorry, go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah,
I just love that.
I think that The Happening could have been saved if the leads understood the Shyamalan assignment.
Yeah.
So if I was for some reason put in charge of, like, if I was like a producer on The Happening and I could like had some pull, I'd have said, okay, we're gonna replace Mark Wahlberg and Zooey Deschanel with John Leguizamo and Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
And I think that movie could have worked.
Yeah.
Because Leguizamo plays one of the side characters. He should have been the main character.
Yeah. He was that scene where he dies. That's actually really affecting.
Yeah. Yeah. And then have Bryce keep like coming back, because in Village and Lady, she really understands what he's doing. And have her be I think that might have actually saved The Happening.
Yeah.
If it's just the two leads are different, because they feel very out of sync with the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, especially Mark Wahlberg, because it's like that dude.
Yeah. I don't know why that choice was made, but it was made.
Yeah.
And then we have Last Airbender and After Earth, which I refrain from.
I forgot about After Earth. I really did like that. Till you mentioned that, I've like blinked that out from my memory.
Yeah, no, those are the next ones, are Last Airbender and After Earth, and I'm going to refrain from talking about them because, as far as I'm concerned, those were paychecks.
Yeah. Hey man, you gotta pay the bills.
But then he comes back with The Visit, which I'm a Visit supporter. I thought that was really, really good. Again, another great example of, again, just strong craftsmanship and really
Love
good
that
at
movie.
making horror films out of like really small ideas, just kids trapped with evil grandparents.
Yeah.
That's a movie and it works. Like
that reveal too. That reveal, like, such a great reveal as well. Like, when people are like talking crap about him, it's like, you know, how could you say this about like the person that like made this like twist in this movie work so brilliantly, you know?
I just remember, I think we saw that together too, right, Gene?
We did, yes.
Yeah, we saw it with a couple friends too, and that was a packed theater. I think Shyamalan has more supporters than people realize still, because I think people were excited for him to come back.
Yes.
And I remember I felt it like in the audience where we were like, is he back? Like before the twist even happened. Like it was like really good. I'll go on my rant about how much I love that movie later, and I want to hear more from you, Carlos. But like, I just need to say, like, it was really exciting for everyone to go through the motions together. Like, is he back?
Yeah.
Is he really back?
Yeah, I'll spill the tea on that on air for this for that story when we was in. Diego didn't want to go. You don't want to go to that screening. I remember I had to force him to go. So
exposed
on air, I'm exposing.
Baby Shyamalan
No, but like, like I think there was another movie you wanted to see, so it wasn't like you were opposed to seeing an M. Night movie. You wanted to see something else.
Yeah, there was some, I don't remember what
I can't remember. But I
well,
just
one of them stuck in my mind and one didn't.
He ended up seeing it, so you know, moral of the story: gotta trust your friends.
Yeah.
So The Visit I thought was really well done, and then Split I adored. Like Split, when I got to see Split, I got to see Split a few days early, at an advanced screening, and I tweeted like just briefly about it. I'm like, guys, you're not ready. This is so good. And it is like, that's probably, I'd probably say, actually we'll get into rankings later, right? Like we're gonna talk. So it's one of my favorites of him. Anya Taylor-Joy is like,
she's
the
great.
same thing as like when, as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of like the same thing like Bryce's big breakthrough being The Village, and that performance. Bryce in The Village is probably like one of my top 10 all-time favorite actress performances in anything ever. And Anya breaking through in Split in kind of like the same way was like another watershed moment for him. Like I'm like, this actor is going to be one of the biggest things in the world in a few years, and look what happens. She is. So, and then of course McAvoy just.
Oh, he's great. Yeah.
Unreal. And just again, M. Night's just really strong genre film sensibilities. And then of course the twist on that, like everybody was losing their minds. Like, oh my god, like how do you keep doing this?
as soon as Bruce Willis came on screen, and like, oh fuck.
The whole theater lost their minds.
Yeah. And then too, like you have a reveal with like Bruce Willis, like this dude that's like, oh man, he's like, his career is just like a roller coaster of like ups and downs, but like when his ups, they're so high, and it's like the fact that you had it like this actor that's kind of like, you know, not doing his best, and you make like the, you know, such a good reveal with that dude.
Yeah, and then of course the Glass, which again I thought it was great. I know that one has a lot of detractors who felt like they liked Unbreakable and Split, and then they felt that Glass was a disappointment as a trilogy closer. I firmly disagree. I saw it, I loved it the first time.
Yeah.
And then I saw it again, and I'm just like, yeah, this is just it doesn't go for the crowd pleasing type of ending, but it goes for something a little bit more substantial, a little bit more spiritual, sentimental, a little bit more Shyamalan. Yeah. That's the thing, is that's what I love about him. well, one of the things I love about him is that he always sticks to his guns.
Yeah.
He doesn't change what he wants to do based on what people say he should do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He is a true auteur, and he has a very specific worldview that always shines through in his movies, even if some of them don't fully work. And that's something to be appreciated in cinema, in art. And as far as I'm concerned, like he's got like a far better batting average than people will say. Like, okay, there's a lot of directors who are more well known for like one or two or three really good movies, and then they've got a whole bunch of other ones that people either don't remember or don't care about, or were like, that didn't really work very well, but they're still considered great directors. So why is M. Night singled out like that?
Yeah.
I think it's unfair. It's honestly unfair.
I could think
Because
of
there's a lot of directors like him that have those like, oh yeah, there's one or two or three really good movies, and then the rest of them are whatever, but we still call them a great director. So as far as I'm concerned, anybody who if he had never made a good movie again after Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and The Village, I would still be calling him a great director. But he still made good movies after that. So you guys shut up and leave him alone.
I think there's two big reasons why the detractors really stuck around. And this is all related to the internet, and I think it's that post 9/11, got to get that in there, sincerity became like a real like problem in Hollywood. I think that's why the Marvel films took off in a way too, because those the lesser of those films use like kind of the snarkiness to be like, isn't this crazy, isn't this weird, like, and people kind of like that's comforting because it makes it feel like people don't get too comfortable like with being open and sincere and stuff like that. And I think that kind of guided, unfortunately, a lot of like mainstream films for a while. That's why people like on the internet kind of were very snarky about the Raimi trilogy. Like, oh, he's crying all the time. It's like, yeah, his life fucking sucks, dude. Like, it's
like you've probably
it's
cried.
not an accident that those people go through emotions on film. Like, what the hell? And the very unfortunate truth that people are just very racist.
Yes, I was gonna bring that point up too.
I mean, like I just need to say it, like, fuck everyone. And like I think at a younger point in my life, I probably said some things I'm not proud of in regards to jokes about M. Night Shyamalan's career and stuff like that. But like, you had like 30, 40-year-old adults at the time going like, Shyamalan a ding dong and stuff. I'm like who the fuck off, dude? Like, how is that like acceptable? Like,
it's not acceptable.
You should be like,
it's true. It's a huge part of why, because like, it's a huge part of why he is treated this way, and it's not right. It's a really sad condemnation of the film going populace.
And like, if you just don't like his movies, that's like totally fine. All of this is subjective, but you're crossing a line, I think, when you go into that territory.
And then too, like as a person of color, like like he did a lot of like leaps and bounds, and like the advancement he did, I would say, in like his movies in the industry too. So you have to like give that to him. Did a lot of groundbreaking things too, and then you're just like writing him off. He's
he's one of the goats right now, quite frankly.
As far as I'm concerned, he is.
So I just want to kind of pivot back around then. So are we of the agreement, I think, on here that some misfires, but not nearly as bad as people made it seem?
I would. I mean, so. I would agree. Like, the only movie like I think I just don't like is just the last Airbender movie.
I listened to the retrospective Matt and I did on it, and I think I was very fair there. We're like, it just doesn't work, but it is a very sincere film. People didn't make it to be hateful, and this is coming from like one of the bigger Last Airbender Korra fans. Like, it just doesn't work. Sorry guys, you move on. I actually don't hate After Earth. I actually think that's got a sturdy premise and has moments which that's just Will Smith's weird career where he wants to play unlikable people, and it's like, fucking Will Smith, people love you. Do whatever you want. Why did you do that? But the less said about that one, I guess, the better too. I don't think it's that bad. I definitely don't think it's like
I just
Great.
I just said like, what a weird guy that Will Smith.
It's
That's
a weird
just, like,
dude. It's a weird
that's what
dude.
popped in my head. Yeah, just the YouTube video where he's like, I got a dad bod. Like, I want to see
Denied.
that. Yeah, I know. Like, oh man, Will Smith, like, just stop, like, making videos online. For many reasons.
Yeah. Should we talk about our favorites then, as we wind down the show? Let's talk about our favorite M. Night Shyamalan films.
Yeah.
Let's do a top three. I don't know if we have to rank them all, but Carlos, do you have a top three ready for us, or should I go to Gene and hope he has his ready?
I can go. So again,
Okay.
I already mentioned it.
I just
but
tossed this out to you guys. This was not part of the plan, so that's why I asked.
Again, I'm gonna go against the grain and say Village #1. I love that movie. Sixth Sense is probably 2. The sorry for the obvious answer. And
it deserves to be there.
It does deserve to be there. That is one of the best movies ever made, like just like canonically. And it deserves everything. Like one of the best screenplays ever written, as far as I'm concerned. And I feel like it could go either way, Unbreakable or Split being number 3, but those would be 3 and 4. I think I'd have to watch both back to back to decide which one I like more, because I really love both of those. So I'm gonna cheat and say that's my top 4.
Okay. No, that's good ranking, my friend.
Totally fair. I think it's interesting that as much as we're going to bat for other stuff that he doesn't really get credit for, we feel like it's also like, oh God, Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, like
that early run was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's like, incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a reason he was called the next Spielberg by like Empire or whatever. Which, by the way, don't do that to people.
That was, I think that magazine cover might have been the thing that did the most damage to his career.
Like, and it was clearly meant from a place of well-meaning respect, but like, don't do that.
You're setting unbelievably unfair expectations.
Kevin Smith was called the next Scorsese at one point. Don't do that.
We all saw Tusk, so
I did not see Tusk.
Oh, okay.
Don't see it. Because I've heard nothing but unfavorable reaction.
I like Kevin Smith as like
I like him as a person.
It seems like maybe he's like some horrible monster behind closed doors. I don't know, but like his online presence is a good presence.
Yeah, he's just
his films are not really for me anymore. That's all.
Yeah.
But again, don't put that label on people. You wouldn't call someone the next Tarkovsky because their movies were kind of slow, like don't do that.
The next in like 20 years, it's like the next Nolan. It's like stop.
Yeah, just let people be people.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you know what's gonna happen? It's gonna be like every female director who comes out in the next 10 years and be the next Greta Gerwig, and
I just thought about that too. I was like,
no.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just I gotta say now, like the women are gonna definitely get slapped that label, and then whoever tells the next woman that they're gonna be the next Greta Gerwig, we have to beat that journalist.
Yeah,
like beat them up.
Yeah,
throw the air conditioner at them.
No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't encourage violence, but I will say they should be shoved into a locker until they learn their lesson. Okay, top 3 Shyamalan. Do you want me to go first, Gene, or do you want to go first?
I have mine just at the ready,
so yeah.
I'd go with Signs, because that movie is just such a good film. Not because I guess that when I was a kid I was a big UFO enthusiast, but like not just as like a sort of like a thriller movie, but just like as a really personal film about like faith and these themes of like I guess like why do bad things happen to good people? It's just like it has a lot to say besides just like aliens, and also just like after the experience we went through in like 2020, just seeing like people like freak out, seeing like stuff they can't control like on the TV, or like as the world's like kind of ending. Like you really relate to that family. Like I think Kieran Culkin and Abigail Breslin. They're the kids, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Like seeing those kids and they're wearing like the tinfoil hats and like, Joaquin Phoenix is so good in that movie. Just seeing like you relate and you care for that family like so much, and that gives that movie like it does its job so well. I'd really have to go to bat for Signs. Like I think that's like one of his best films. Like that's a really brilliant movie. So yeah, Signs. I would go with Unbreakable because yeah, I'm a big comic book fan, and that movie, like that's like in my opinion, and it's not even about like an established character, is like one of the best comic book films like ever. Like he gets that genre so much that he made like one of the best like live action adaptions, and just that movie is just so well done. I really love that movie, Unbreakable, just as a comic book fan. And I think the last movie, I think I would give it to Glass. I think Glass was like up there for me because just the way he uses the archetypes of like heroes and villains and like kind of spins it on its head, and you feel empathy and you feel like you feel for a lot of these characters even though they are like evil. Like Samuel Jackson's Mr. Glass is just like, yeah, he's an awful person, but you feel for him as he's dying. Like you feel like a lot of sympathy, and even darn, I'm forget the Beast. You feel sympathy for James McAvoy's character as he's dying, and it's a really because he gets like characters and he gets like actors so well. The fact that he gives like Bruce Willis a great performance, you really have to hand it to the guy. So that would be my three rankings right there of M. Night.
It's a pretty good one. And yeah, I like that you shout out the Bruce Willis performance in that, because I actually think it's pretty good too. It might be his last good performance.
Well, his weird Redbox era movies right now is certainly going to tell a story of what you would rank as performances.
I mean, do you guys even remember like the initial hype after Split came out and everyone was like, he's gonna fucking do it,
Yeah.
And then Bruce Willis legit comes back and he's on like the Comic-Con train and shit.
Yeah, he's actually trying and
he's like
not being
he
grumpy.
doesn't have to do that. He's Bruce Willis, he could be an asshole and just not really participate. But no, he's like talking up the performance in like the movie, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, he's kind of like, not to speculate about him, but he's such a like he comes off as so grumpy. I mean, we've all heard the Kevin Smith stories, but like I feel giving him the benefit of the doubt, like if you engage with him in I guess the right way, or if the material like sticks with him, he'll actually like go to bat for it and like dedicate his time, I guess, not being grumpy. But he's old too. Like if I was 60, I'd probably be grumpy too. I don't know.
All right, so my top three. So I'm actually gonna go with The Visit as my number 3. I think found footage as a genre sort of most of them get treated with the respect maybe they don't deserve, but I understand.
Yeah.
But the good ones in that genre are, I think, a really interesting gateway into like how we perceive stories and people, like where they kind of rip off this layer of like filmic inauthenticity, and it feels more tangible in a way. And that's why like the Blair Witch Project is like one of my favorite horror movies too. And Cloverfield I love so much, and The Visit's like right there at my number 3 for me.
I was gonna say it reminded me of a movie I saw earlier, which I think you wanted to see, the McPherson tape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Which is that was like a kind of a predecessor, right? It was like 86 or something.
It was 86. It came before the Blair Witch.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. And I just love the look of like the uncinematic eye. And I think The Visit kind of what that story ends up being about, it is about like, what if your grandparents were evil? And it's like, oh, it turns out they're not even your grandparents. And it's like, oh, and I remember the theater going, that's always fun when a movie makes the audience do that. But it's about what happens when you can't like connect with your family anymore. Like that disconnect ends up breeding like hurt and pain, and the film's kind of about the generations that have to deal with that. And it's just about kids going to see their grandparents. And I think when that story settled with me, I was like, fuck, this dude is like he's going to be the real deal for a long time.
Yeah.
And that felt good to remember. And I just want to say that's also why I like Ted Lasso, because the people that are like angry, mean people in that show, it's like, well, you know, people aren't born like that. Something happens to them, and you create cycles of anger and pain and stuff like that. My number 2 choice, because I just rewatched it this week, Signs. I think Signs is fucking unbelievably good. It is kind of a film about like yeah, I think Gene actually put it pretty well. It's kind of has more resonance now, because it's like, how do you like live in a world with like a bunch of uncertainty, and you left it to your kids, and how do you go about dealing with that? And it's like, well, we're gonna figure it out, and if we don't, then we don't, but we got to have faith that we will. That's kind of what it comes down to. And when I think Shyamalan's interesting too, because it's like, it's less about religious faith inherently. It is for that character, but it's about faith in like people and the planet and like perseverance. And to me, that's what like really makes faith-based stories interesting. And that's why so few of them are actually good. There's a reason those like straight to DVD Bible movies aren't good, and it's because it is specifically about God and trusting in God and not other things. Also, the filmmaking just isn't very good. But science is incredible. Science versus faith, and how they're all kind of the same thing at the end of the day. My number 1 choice is Unbreakable. I think Unbreakable is something I could write a thesis on. I think I could teach a class on how good that film is. I think the framing and the shot composition is like top 100 for American films ever, if not more specifically like top 25 even. I think of the moment when David Dunn goes out to be a hero for the first night, and he walks in as a man and he leaves as like a literal shroud of a superhero. Like, you know, when he falls in the pool, you see his face for the last time. He climbs out of the pool, you never see his face anymore. You just see the outline of the costume. You just see the hero. And
brilliant cinematography.
Who the fuck thinks like that? That is such insanely smart filmmaking.
Yeah. Also, the music as well. I believe it's James Newton Howard, right?
Oh yeah, when he climbs out of that pool with the orchestra kicking in, holy fuck! I was like in tears when I saw that last time. It's so good. So yeah, and Unbreakable is my favorite Shyamalan film, and it will probably be that just for personal connection reasons, but the dude's got bangers in them, and I can't wait to see Old. I know some people have already topped it like into their top 3 Shyamalan lists on Twitter, so there are definitely fans out there, and like always, I bet his stuff's going to continue to be divisive. But
you know. I was going to say for any listeners for that, I forgot the name of the trilogy. We'll say it's like because it's related to the train.
It's East Rail 177.
East Rail 177 trilogy. If you because me and Diego have screened all 3, or we went to a screening where we had all 3 movies. Watching those 3 movies back to back is such an incredible experience. I'd recommend that to anyone. So I'm just throwing that out there.
I would as well. And I believe like even like the structure of the films, or at least I recognized it last time. They have Split and Unbreakable have the same movie structure. Like the events are very different, but the structure of the hero origin and the villain origin are like completely identical. It's what a great filmmaker, what a great trilogy, and what a great series of films. Mostly whatever, it happens, you know. Even Steven Spielberg has fucking Hook in 1941. So
he also has what's that one movie?
Ready Player One.
No, it was the one that he made in 1990. It was about the firefighter. It's like that romance movie. It's right before Always. Yeah, Always is not good.
You know, whatever.
I'll go to bat for Hook, but I don't think Always is bad.
I get that. Yeah, whatever. I guess that's the episode.
Yeah.
Bye. No, Carlos, thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Shyamalan Love Fest.
I was happy to. It was great to be here, and like I said, I love talking with you guys on Twitter, and you know, I hope that we will continue to do so going forward. And like I said, it was a great time. I loved. Thanks for asking me to be here.
Yeah, of course. We'll have to have you back on another time, and then just on here to shoot the shit, because we are very far away from each other, so you can't exactly go out to grab a bite to eat or anything like that. But
man, you guys are in the wrong damn time zone.
I know, I hate it. But you know, at least we always have summer year round. It's super hot all the time. Carlos, where can the
It's,
people find you?
Where could the people find me? Like
Like
geographically?
online.
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
I'm like
It's like
Southern Ontario. No, if you want to follow, I'm always on Twitter. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at Carlos Alonso M. I spend way too much time on Twitter. So if you're interested in hearing me talk about superheroes, Mass Effect, just sci-fi stuff in general, X-Files, memes, Star Wars, sometimes not Star Wars. Too much Star Wars.
Star Wars will get fun to talk about again in a couple years. That's my prediction.
yeah, probably like
Yeah, basically always nerd stuff. And if you're interested in my writing, or if just the idea of a YA space horror book intrigues you, please do follow, because more details about that will be revealed in the coming months. So very exciting.
Thank you again for stopping by. And yeah, links down to Carlos's stuff below, where you can check him out on the Twitters. Gene, thanks again, my friend. Where can people find you too?
Yeah, you could find me on Twitter and Instagram, Gene9892. And if you're watching on YouTube, I have this background, the more you know, because it's G.I. Joe. So if anyone didn't get that joke, I'm just saying that right now.
To be honest, I didn't get that joke, but I like the background, and I like the more you know memes.
The more you know about this background.
There you go. You could find me at the Diego Crespo on Twitter, and check out the Waffle Press on Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Patreon. And get early access to a couple of retrospectives I got cooking up. Legend of Korra, the last 2 books coming out at you. Book 3 just came out yesterday at the time of this release, or the first episode of Book 3. And then the failed blockbusters retrospectives, where just because they failed at the box office doesn't mean they failed in our hearts, except for Wild Wild West, which is a bad film.
Oh man.
Sorry, everyone. I don't think that film has many defenders, though. At least not sincerely.
Yeah, I think there's maybe one.
Maybe one. There's always fucking one. That's fine. Scott Pilgrim, go check out the Scott Pilgrim retrospective. But until then, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We have been professionally unprofessional.